I'm trying to do like a real grunge kind of open, diminished thing. I don't know how well that translates. I started working on it a couple nights ago, and trying to find the chording that works was difficult. Um, I don't actually know what some of these chords are. Have no idea what this actually is. I know it's diminished. That's all I can tell you. um, Guys, we want to do something a little different tonight. We want to be a little more interactive. And I actually got this idea. I was talking to Steve earlier. And if my sound sounds a little more, it's because I am using a boost pedal. Trying to do different things. There's a lot of equipment here, guys. You know, sometimes we need to learn how to use what we have. So I am using the Yamaha amp right here. But just so everyone knows, using the Lancelot as a boost to give it that little bit more hairy sound. Now I am a half step down. I guess it's not drop C. I guess it would be drop C flat. So that adds a little bit to it as well. So if you're wondering how I was getting a little bit different sound, it should be a little more hairy sounding. Anytime you put more hair on something, it also gets a little harder to play some of those open notes. You gotta pick really clean, and you can't mute. And there was a couple times when I've only been playing that a couple times. I played with it a little bit Thursday evening, a little bit last night, and then about 5 minutes before the stream. So I don't quite have the chording clean. A couple times when I was up picking, I wasn't getting the D string right. When you have that much distortion on a path, it really does pick up on it. I don't know what you guys thought of it. Trying to be a little different. So I was talking to Steve a little bit. Steve got another guitar. He sent me some pictures. He did post some pictures up on Discord about it. So I was interacting with Steve a little bit, and we were talking like budget stuff. You know, everyone's on a budget, especially now. You know, things are getting really expensive. Whether it's your car insurance, you know, your house payment, car payment's probably the same, but your electric, everything now is kind of really went through the roof, if that makes sense. So we're still trying to find a way of getting that sound and equipment that's going to do what we need it to do, but spend less money. And we were talking FR cabs versus PA speakers versus, you know, if you're on a budget and let's say you wanted to get, you know, a good hairy sound for distortion, medium distortions, clean sounds, you still wanted something that's going to produce your reverbs, your delays, your choruses, all your effects, and still have an amplifier, okay? Something that you could have an amp that you could hear in your room, but also turn right back around without buying anything, take this thing right into an interface to your computer, or use this system, go front of house with it, and then use your little PA speaker or FR cabinet on stage. You know, an amps are expensive. Everyone knows I like tube amps. So a starting price on a tube amp, unless you buy that little Bagheera for $199, that little tiny thing that's like 5 watts, that's the cheapest tube amp I know you can buy. It has an 8-inch speaker. So that really limits what that thing will do, and it also has no effects loop. So what do? Do you just go out and buy a little modeler, and have like Linnell's looking at the GTX, I think it's a GTX 100. It's $550. Okay, that's the cost of the amplifier. It does have a 12-inch speaker. It's got a bunch of sounds. You turn one knob, you get cleans, distorted, all pre-programmed. You don't really have to mess with it. You just turn a knob, go through the presets, got a volume. I think for $550, that might be a good alternative.
And the, what is it, pedal thing it comes with?
Yeah, it also comes with the foot switch. Yeah. So you can go through your presets, or I'm pretty sure you can program it to, let's say, you just have 2 or 3 sounds you use. You can just use the foot switch and have those sounds programmed to it. Or you can have, I think, bypass, up, down preset. So for $550, that's a pretty good buy. But, I hear that hum. Another reason why I'm not big on pedals, did y'all hear that go away? I used to play with a jumping the shark here, or jumping ship. Used to play with guys with pedals. Always, you'd hear that coming through their amplifier, because they got 5 and 6 pedals, the little transformers, and stuff. They just introduces so much noise to the system. So, buying a little amplifier like the little Bagheera for $200 and buying some pedals, you're going to have line noise like that. Pedals create line noise. So, what would be the best? With the $200 Bagheera, you still can't go, direct to an interface. There's no speaker emulation. It's not really there. With the Fender, you can. The little GTX 100, you could go front of house on the output on that and technically use the little Fender as your stage monitor. But we were talking, and I use this little guy right here. Let me unplug it, because we're not using the rack amp tonight. I've got this little guy right here. This is the NuX Pulse. So if you've got, a pedal, let's say you've got a Tone King pedal. That's a little pedal. It's got 2 channels. You could come out of that directly into this, and then that's it. Go to your interface. Okay? As long as your interface has 1/4-inch input. Most do. Okay? Some you're going to use, like I think on the Fender, you would use the USB out. I'm thinking that's how the Fender one works. But on this one, this is a cab sim. So you can load different IRs in it and get your different speakers. So let's talk about one way we could do this and talk budget. So if you're going to spend $550 on the Fender, I think that's probably the best bang for your buck on a combo amp. But let's take it. Let's say you need more power. You're playing large places and you're definitely on a budget. And let's say that 100 watts. Now granted, that's solid state, guys. So that 100-watt solid state amp probably isn't as loud as my 50-watt rack tube amp. Just being honest with you, it probably is not. So let's just assume you need more power and you need more versatility. Well, we're going to go FR or a PA speaker. So what would be a good bang for your buck on a preamp, okay, something that you can plug your guitar in, get your distortions, get your mids, get your clean sounds, you could go that route like a Tone King pedal, but the Tone King pedal's like $400, the pedal alone. You still don't have delays, reverbs, and all these things. Now, there's a ton. There's the Sedano's got one. Friedman's got a pedal. It's like a preamp pedal. Not saying that wouldn't be a way of going. It would be a great way to do it. Maybe a Friedman pedal, the Sedano pedal, the Tone King. Get yourself a Strymon. Strymon makes a reverb delay pedal. Okay? Get something like that. And you would pretty much be set other than courses, flangers. See how you start going down that rabbit hole. Now you need this, now you need that. What about the Vailton? The GP5, the GP50, and the GP200. Let's say you take a Vailton, okay? It sounds pretty good, guys, okay? Come out of the Vailton, right to this for your cab sims, okay? Into your FRR cabinet, if that's what you chose to do. Steve seemed to like the FRR, whatever that thing is, because it's more of a flat response. There is no such thing. This is my opinion. Now, Steve kind of disagrees with me on this because he likes the FR. My opinion is, well, let's go back a little bit. I used to do studio work, and I used to hear sound engineers and live sound guys would always argue back and forth, because the studio guy would always say, you got to have a correct room, a flat room that absorbs all the frequencies the same, and you have to have a flat reproduction. Everything's got to be flat. The live sound guy would say, okay, my room is incorrect. If I put a flat signal into that incorrect room, certain frequencies are being absorbed more than others, so what you hear is incorrect. So they EQ it. Okay, that's what I used to do. I'm on the fence of EQ. I have a spectrum analyzer, and it would analyze the room noise. That's us talking, everyone joking and carrying on, the hard surfaces, the curtains, and it would figure out what it needed to boost and what it needed to cut to where your ears heard a flat signal once it got to your ears. So now you have an incorrect signal and an incorrect room. You have two things incorrect.
Steve said, to clarify, I didn't disagree with you fully. I said it's supposed to be flat. I know it's not.
Right. Neither one are flat. Either way, you're going to introduce an EQ. Okay? It's really up to you. The reason I say if you're building a system on a budget, a PA driver is the way to go. Mackie makes some really nice PA powered speakers. Okay? You can get a 12-inch with a horn. I think it's as cheap as $200. And it's going to be 500 or 600 watts. It's going to be stupid loud. Believe me, it's going to be stupid loud. You can go up for a little bit better. You can do a 15 in a horn. That's what I use here. I like the 15-inch because we're talking full range here. The 15-inch is not going to struggle whatsoever reproducing guitar signals at any volume. It's not. You've got a nice horn. A horn is capable of extremely high frequencies. You're not going to, the guitar is just a little section in the center, so you don't have to worry about it. The reason I say PA, if you get two of them, they serve two purposes. If you're in a new band and you outgrow this and you decide to do something else, you have now floor monitors for the band, or control room monitors, or PA speakers. It is not just a guitar cabinet. We're on a budget. We're trying to buy stuff that we can multi-purpose. That's another reason why I like a powered PA driver. Is one better than the other? It's on you. Okay, we're talking, it's got to reproduce the signal that's going into it. That's what it's doing. If the PA speaker's EQ or curve as it reproduces is a little different, that's fine. We got an equalizer. Okay, is it going to make really that much difference? Some people would say yes. That's why you have different speakers. What do I say? If you want to change your sound, what's the cheapest thing that you can do to change your sound? It's not buy a new amplifier, it's change your speakers. A V30 will sound completely different than a greenback that I use, or the Pentas. I have V30s over here. If I take my amp with the exact same settings and I plug different cabinets in it, it's wow. It's a completely different amplifier, a completely different monster. So if you've got a Sedano amp or a Friedman amp or an old Marshall head, whatever head you got laying around, a PV head, and you're trying to get a different sound out of it, first, before you go out and buy, see where you go, if they got different cabinets, if you can bring your head in and plug it in and see what you think of it. Or have friends that have greenbacks or this or that, and you can kind of dial in or see if you're going to like it, if that makes sense. Speakers are a good change. So for me to say an FRR cabinet versus a PA cabinet, they're going to be the same. Each PA driver is going to be different. It just is. We're still talking about a budget. How much difference is it going to be? I'm going to say it's negligible. You know, everyone's going to set their EQ up differently. So let's say we do that. We take a GP200 and this little pulse pedal, and you're set. That's your guitar rig. So I want to go to let's actually do something here. I am going to go to Amazon. Before I bug you looking up all this stuff, I am going to find it first. I will be nice. GP200. So I am looking for the first one. Okay, I was off a little bit on the price, unless someone can find it cheaper. So here's the Velton. The Velton is $349 and it has an expression pedal. But this thing does it all, guys. It's $349. Okay? So someone write that down. $349. That's going to be everything. It's your reverb, that's your distortion, that's the whole 9 yards. You know, is it the best thing? Absolutely not. Is it the best bang for your buck? I believe this Velton is. Whether you do the GP50, which I'm extremely interested in, okay, that one is a lot less. So you could go down that road. But let's start with the most expensive, the GP200. So the next thing we need to find is the NUX. And that's a Pulse. Do they even show the Pulse? Doesn't look like they do. I want to say the NUX Pulse is right at $100. So let's do a general search. See what comes up. All right, Sweetwater has it for 99 bucks. It was 109. So this has a bunch of different cab Rs already loaded. It has 2 different versions. So it actually has 3. It has acoustic, bass, and guitar Rs preloaded. So you can have up to 8 Rs loaded at one time. Okay, whether it's acoustic, whether it's bass, it doesn't matter. You're allowed to have 8 at one time. Okay, so since we're at Sweetwater, let's look up powered PA speakers. And these will go for a ton of different, it really does make a difference. Like right here, there's this Alto Professional for $149. You know, it's an 8-inch. So we don't want to do an 8-inch. Could you do a system with that? I think you could. I think you could do an 8-inch. We are talking full range. Here's a 10-inch. So we don't want to do a 10-inch. Mackie Thump. This is 1,400 watts. So that's crazy. You don't need 1,400 watts. Here's an Alto. It's a 15-inch for $409. I'm pretty sure Mackie had one that was right at the $300 price point, if I remember correctly. Here's a 12-inch alto for $279. So we're trying to do it on a budget. I like the 15s. Now this isn't going to give us a budget, but I can already tell this little Mackie right here would be awesome. And the alto would probably be awesome as well. Let's refine the search. Let's go down just to Mackie. Here's a 12-inch Mackie for $400. That might be the cheapest. I know this stuff isn't on sale, but it does go on sale. The more I play guitar and the more I do YouTube, the day, I guess, of the conventional amplifier, I hate to say it, guys, I think it's kind of past us. Companies want to make money, and the modeling type systems, it's far less expensive for them to build that style of amplifier, if that makes sense. So what's that put us at? If we do the Mackie here, here's a 12-inch for $329. So that's putting us at 700. That's it, $800. Okay, and I know what you guys are going to say. Well, that's freaking $800. Yeah, it's $800. But look at the power and the versatility of what that amplifier is doing. Okay, it is going to be stupid loud. Okay, it's all your effects. The Velton, the GP200's their flagship one. Okay, that's the best one they make. Tons of different effects, and you can load separate hours with this. The reason I say use this, I'm sure the GP200 probably has an IR side. You could probably get away with just running it direct, but doing this allows you to change the distance of the microphone and the output signal volume right off the pedal. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility. You can reach right over and change it. You don't have to go into menus. Okay. You could do a GP50 for $100. So if you went that way, that's $200 for the GP50 and this guy, and $350 for the speaker. So that's putting you at $550. Whichever way you went, I think this new GP50 they just come out with, it's kind of middle road between the 200 and the 5. It's probably the best bang for the buck, but you don't have an expression pedal. Would that really bug me? I always used an expression pedal out, and I didn't use it for wah. I had two expression pedals. One I used as a boost, and all it did was boost my signal up a little bit, okay, for when I went into leads. So all the way down was my max volume, all the way up was my minimum volume, okay. My other expression pedal was gain, okay. I had to have my stupid gain, standard gain for crunch, okay. If I didn't need crunch, I changed my preset and I went to a clean channel. But all my distortion channels were set up to where I could get a lighter distortion with the expression pedal. If you want to do something like that, the GP200 would be better. Like a little volume pedal, something on stage. You could do your wah. If you play that kind of music, I can see where it would be an advantage, if that makes sense. I guess I need to see what your all's thoughts are on this type system. I truly believe the more I do it here, okay, I'm doing a kind of a weird version of it here, but when I come home and play now, I usually play through my PA speakers. That's what I'm doing, and I'm playing a modeling amp. And I see the advantages of it doing this stream. Is it the same as my tube amp? It isn't. I'm not saying that it is. I know there's a difference.
Cole says which expression pedal? Maybe fractal model.
Well, we're doing it on a budget, Cole. Fractal's definitely not going to be your budget thing. The expression pedal on the GP200 is built in. Okay? What I used to use out live was a X15, Applied Research Technology. I used 2 of them. So I had 4 expression pedals and 16 floor stomps and 2 up gate channels and 2 bypass channels.
Mikey has a seismic 112 cab.
Yeah. So as long as it's powered, that's all you would need. I'm pretty sure the seismic has a horn. So if you have something like that and you're trying to do a budget system, it's a powered PA speaker. So stop thinking about an amplifier. Because if you buy a standard amplifier, okay, I'm not saying the Fender, I think what Linnell's looking at, I think that's cool. If you're just in your bedroom and you're just playing guitar and you're not doing YouTube and you have no reason to have an interface and you're not playing out, I kind of get it. But if you're playing out, think of the power of the little Vailton and this pulse going to that speaker. Now this pulse is stereo. So if I do tip ring sleeve on the input, I can go stereo out. So that means you need 2 cabinets. But now your modulation effects, all your delays, everything comes to life. Trust me, stereo comes to life.
Mikey said no, it's a Celestion Greenback, 75 hertz.
Oh, it's just okay. It's a speaker cabinet, so you're going to need an amplifier. So in that case, if you just have a Celestion cabinet, you will need an amplifier. Doing something like that, I think Seymour Duncan makes what they call the power stage or something. You could use something like that and into it. But now you're getting into more cost, okay? Before I went that route, okay, with the Seymour Duncan power box, the little power box, I would look at what you're doing. If you have a small studio at your house and you're doing recording and stuff, I would look into a very inexpensive PA amplifier, okay, to go to something, a speaker like that. If it's just guitar, then I kind of see the Seymour Duncan rate. Since it's a Celestion, you might want to go down the Seymour Duncan. I think it's a power station is what it's called. That would be your power amp. But now you're getting into the money where I don't think doing a system like that it's really not worth it. It's an extension cab, so that needs to be run on like my Egnator here, where I have an extra speaker out. That's fine. If you've already got a cabinet like that and you've got a small combo amp and it has an effects loop, as long as you got a good cabinet, I can already tell you the direction I would go. I would go VP4 if you're wanting to buy new. If you're not wanting to buy new, I know it's old stuff. And this is another reason why I wanted to talk about it. Like the pedal I have on the floor, this pedal, my TS9, all my other floor pedals.
You got a super chat from Mini Guitar Society.
Ooh, thank you so much, Mini Guitar Society. When you start going down this rabbit hole of pedals, you can spend a lot of money. Believe me, you can buy an Alesis Quadriverb cheap. You can buy an Alesis Multiverb cheap. You can buy a Digitech 2112 cheap. You can buy a 2120 cheap. You can buy an SG. The only art I would buy other than the SGE 2000 or the SGX 2000 is an SGE Mach 2. Decent effects, get them cheap. You can get an SGE Mach 2 for $99. It's going to have reverb, delay, chorus, flanger, phaser, compression, gate, distortion. It's whammy, pitch shift, you name it, it's all going to be in there. And you can use, I think on the SGEs, I think you can use 6 effects simultaneously. Are they the best of everything? Absolutely not. but I can get that for 99 bucks. You're trying to build a budget system and you're trying to save money. Are those effects horrible? I started this YouTube channel and did reviews with this SGX 2000 using its preamp, its delays, and I got so many comments that the amp sounded killer. It's 30 years old, it still sounds awesome, and I tell people it has the artifact. Applied Research Technology had problems with their delays and reverbs. They got a funny sound to them. It's not, and I know it's got a funny sound. I've just learned to program around it. If you get that Digitech, let's say you get a 2112, you can get them all day long for $250, $299 on reverb. All day long. Okay? Maybe you want to go down that route instead of the GP200. Why do I say that? If you buy a 2112 or a 2120, it has two 12AX7s on it. It's a tube preamp. It has a solid state preamp. Solid state, not digital. Solid state preamp. All your effects come out of that into this, into your interface. What's the difference between a 2120 Digitech Artisan and a brand new one? Back then they didn't do cab hours. There is no cab simulation. You buy one of those old units, pick yourself something up that you can come out of that unit into something that's going to emulate your cabinet right into your interface. I can get a 2101 Artisan, which is probably one of the best multi-effects units with tubes, okay, and an SGX 2000. You can get both of them for about the same money, and this, I know I can do it for 500 bucks. I know I could. And that's all you need to go to interface. Now, if you want to go out and play live, get yourself your PA speaker. You're still in the same ballpark. But now, instead of using the GP200 from Vailton, which I'm sure it's very powerful, it's smaller, it's more compact, and it's easier to move than a rack mount module. But that rack mount module will do more. Because you can bring it home to your studio and you can use it for other things. It has more power. Even though it's 25 years old, it still has more processing power than that Vailton. I'm not telling you which way to go. What I'm saying is, when you watch YouTube channels and they're always saying, this just come out and it's super awesome and everyone flocks to it, step back a little bit. I never left. Every piece of equipment that I bought when I was out playing out live, pretty much I still have, other than my Line 6 Pro Pod. I bought the first red rack mount Line 6 pod they ever made. Everyone in the band said it sounded good. I felt disconnected to it. I ended up selling it to the rhythm guitar player in the band. I think it sounded great. When he played it, I didn't have that direct interaction with it. Listening to it, it sounded good. But when I played it, there was something. I'm not going to say it was legacy or it was lag. There was just something about it. I didn't feel connected to the unit. I had already had this unit and I wanted to update it. Everyone was talking about the pod. It was the latest, greatest thing. I went out and bought it. I think it was like $900 or $800 at the time, which was less money than I paid for this 6 or 7 years prior. But I said, okay, new effects, great. Just didn't like it. I went right back to my SGX. The Artisan, on the other hand, the effects sounded far superior to the SGX 2000. The problem with the Digitech Artisan and the 2112 was the tube section. It just wasn't as hairy, and I didn't think was as warm sounding as the Applied Research Technology. That's 1/2 to a dozen, depending on who you asked. Okay, is that the best way of going, or would you guys, look at a Tone King? The Tone King is great. It's $400. All you're getting is 2 channels. You get a 2112, a 2120, an SGE Mach 2. You can do the SGE Mach 2. It has a analog and distortion preamp in it. It does have a preamp. It's a 1U rack mount. So you could technically take that unit out. I see those all the time for $99. Buy that unit for $99, buy this for $99, and buy you a PA cabinet. Go play. You can get anything from death metal to clean with any effect that you could possibly want. And yes, you will get the artifact reverb. I guess my point in this is keep in mind as we buy things and we do things, we need to say, how much better is it? Are you going to be able to tell the difference? Okay. Just like guitars. How much better is it? If I've always wanted a Gibson Les Paul with P90s. I can already tell you I'm not going to buy one. Epiphone come out with the Joe Bonamassa Epiphone with P90s in it. It is a quarter of the price of the Gibson. There's no way the Gibson plays 4 times better or sounds 4 times better than that Joe Bonamassa Epiphone. You're not going to tell me that it does. I'm sure it is a little better. The pickups are probably a little warmer, probably a little this. And made in the United States. I get it. But I'm on a budget. I'm going to buy the Epiphone. I want one really bad, guys. And I think the new John Bonamassa one, that's a pretty guitar. So that might be a guitar that I buy this year to replace my Alex License Les Paul that I sold. So I no longer have an Epiphone here. And Epiphone makes good guitars. So that's what we're comparing. Should we go out and buy amplifiers like this? Like the Egnator. I bought the Egnator because it has got such a nice, high headroom clean amplifier. I can also get some 80 sounds out of it. So let's say we do decide to go down this way. Let's scrap everything we just said. Let's forget about buying a preamp pedal and a preamp pedal with an effects pedal with one of these guys into an FRR or a PA. Let's say we feel going to a combo amp, tubes, is the best way of going. I've already proven if I get an SGE Mach 2, this guy, and a PA speaker, I could do that dirt cheap. I could be in the $550 range. Okay? I could do a GP50, this guy, and the PA speaker in the $550 range.
Steve says you can do a lot and get great tone from a Tonex 1 pedal along with an AirStep TX controller, sub 300 for the pair, and then get a used powered PA speaker 200 to 250.
Yeah, that's my point. If you want to go down, and I see the advantage to that, because you're already using ours, okay? So if you're also doing YouTube, okay, or you're doing small venues where you can't crank that tube amp up, that's perfect. Because you can get your sound at a lower volume when you're playing smaller bars. And you're not carrying a bunch of stuff. Guitar case, you could put your pedals and stuff pretty much in your guitar case and carry your PA speaker around, a couple cords. I mean, that's a pretty simple setup. And if you go to a bigger place, carry an extra cord and come out of this, okay? Split your signal. One goes to, most PA speakers have an out to go to another driver. You could go out of that, which is unpowered, to front of house, or split this one and go front of house. You could do that. It's very versatile. You're doing YouTube? Do what I'm doing right now. I got my headphones on. It's going into my interface. I can talk and play at the same time. And when I'm home, I'm going through my PA speakers. It's like a one-stop shop. When I play my keyboard, it's going through my mixer to my power amp to my PA speakers. My microphone's doing the exact same thing. My guitar's doing the exact same thing. Everything's going into the board to the power amp to the PA speakers. So they're serving everything I do here. These drivers serve that purpose. But now it's also my guitar amp. So think about what you plan on doing. Are you going to be out playing live? Are you building a home studio? You know, baby steps, little tiny things. But if you, let's say you want to go this route, okay, you got an effects loop. So what most people do is they'll have a boost pedal in front of it or an EQ pedal in front of it, and then you need to come out for effects. I get it. The VP4 is $800. It's fractal. It's awesome. But if you're on a budget, again, this goes back. Maybe get yourself an Elisa's Quadriverb. Let me change channels here. Right here is the Multiverb 4. It's 24-bit. It's a nice unit. This is a nice unit. Try to find a Digitech Studio S200. Both of these made in the United States. Made in the United States. You can get them cheap. There's your effects. That's probably the cheapest way of doing it.
Mikey said, what about the Yamaha amp?
You can do that too. You know, way I'm doing this Yamaha amp, the drawback to this is I'm coming out of the headphone jack. I think if Yamaha made this little amplifier that I'm using right here, and they put a direct out on it, okay, for interface or direct out to PA, they would nail it. But it doesn't have that. So if you look, I'm coming out of the headphone jack, okay, to the board. So I have a 1/4 inch tip ring sleeve that goes to 2 1/4 inch cables. And then to my mixing board and out. That's how I run it. Now, that also goes direct to my interface. That's how I'm able to use the Yamaha direct. I'm coming out of the headphone jack. It's already set up for modeling. The IR is already preloaded because you're listening to the amp through your headphones.
Cole says, I read that a new amplifier needs to be used some months to give it the best sound. Have you had this experience?
Well, you got to break in the tubes, you know, a little bit, let the tubes break in a little bit. Majority of that is in the speaker. The cone, the glue, and the webbing on the speaker and the outer surround needs to break in a little bit so they move. So it's more about the speaker. If you wanna break in your tubes, just leave the amp on for like, believe it or not, guys, I'll leave this thing on for days. People talk about burning stuff up. There's been times where this thing hadn't been turned off for weeks at a time. It just sits there and cooks. Is that the best thing for your amp? Probably not. But solid equipment that's made right, you don't have to worry about the tubes burning the traces. It's made. Professional equipment, you should be able to turn it on, it should cook. You should be able to, it should cook eggs and still survive. And when I say, ask Linnell, this thing stays on, I'll forget to turn it off. It's been like that for 30 some years. I don't worry about it. It hasn't hurt it yet. It's not going to hurt it tomorrow. And if it blows up tomorrow, I don't care because I have cooked it for 30 years. When you buy good stuff, it should last. That's why when people talk about these new Marshalls, they got the printed circuit board, the tubes under it, all that heat comes up, it just cooks the board and the traces. That's a really horrible design. I'm not saying it's bad to have a printed circuit system and an amplifier. That's fine. Put it in the amplifier, put you some standoffs on the board, and come off the standoffs with a wire up to a secondary socket on a piece of metal that's your tube socket, and set it above. Have the tubes in the top with a cover and your vent. That way they can sit in there and bake, but yet breathe a little bit. And all your printed circuit board is underneath. High air rises. So put your vent in the bottom. The cool air comes into the amp across the printed circuit board, up past the jumper wires, into the metal plate where the tube sockets are, out the roof. That's how you build a modern tube amp. They don't do that. They slap it on a board, put the tube in it, turn it upside down, and the heat just cooks the components. That's not how these are made. This SGX has two 12AX7s on it. The 12AX7 is under the ART logo, right there, the two of them. So in the corner there's a metal box and with two tubes that are mounted in that metal plate. Okay? And on the side of the unit there's holes, and there's holes in the top. And those two tubes set isolated in that metal box that breathes separate. On the other side of this, there's two complete, when I say computer boards, there's two full-size computer boards the size of that rack stacked on top of one another. And they have ribbon cables that go from this board to that board. And then there's a breakout board that goes across the front face of the unit with a ribbon cable that goes to the top board. So there's three PC boards on it. It's serviceable. You have standoffs, you unscrew it, the whole board comes out. You can get to the components. It's not double traced. They thought about the future. It's not a trace with fiberglass, trace in the center, another piece of fiberglass with traces on the bottom. That's how they really save money. Because sometimes your traces cross, so that means they trace the bottom and the top. I have seen companies do three traces, trace top, trace center, and that becomes a nightmare. They thought about it back then. They don't now. Now it's crazy what they do. A lot of these boards, they have problems with it. Anyway, we're off topic. So let's say you want to go this way. I would look into trying to find a multi-effects processor. You're trying to do it on a budget. I get it. Well, I don't have $300 right now to buy a multi-effects processor, so I'm going to buy this JHS reverb pedal. Okay, that's $99. Then 6 months later, you're buying something else and something else. Just save $200. Believe me, you can get on Reverb. For $200, you can buy a multi-effects processor. You really can. And it's going to have it's going to be far more versatile than that floor stomp pedal. Especially if you're home doing a little home studio. Because now your multi-effects processor, you can use it on your vocals, you can use it on your bass, you can use it for your post, you can use it if you're doing YouTube. It's a multi-signal processor. That's why it's called multi-signal. It'll do a little bit of everything. That's why I started buying this stuff. When I first started, I was using stuff that was old generation PA equipment that I was buying off sound guys because they wanted the latest, greatest new piece. But for my guitar, it was perfect. It was far better than the guitar equipment that was available and far cheaper. It was. I bought my first Quadriverb. The first Quadriverb I ever owned is right there. That's an Alesis Quadriverb. Way overkill for a bass rig. But it's awesome. I can do anything with that Quadriverb. This thing will do anything a modern unit will do. Is it going to be just as clean and just as pristine as, let's say, the new Fractal? No. But in a mix, if you're playing out live, I guarantee you no one is going to tell the difference between this Alesis Quadriverb and that Fractal. In a studio environment, under completely no noise, hush, flat, perfect room, yes, you're going to hear the difference. The Fractal's going to have a sparkler, more sparkly, more clean, more warm. But in your bedroom, jamming in bars, trying to build a budget system, no. You're not going to tell me this $200 quadriverb isn't going to sound as good as that $800 VP4. That doesn't mean I don't want a VP4. This is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it's our wants, okay? That's why I like this guitar. Sometimes I got to play guitars, that are good bangs for the buck. I don't want to always buy a $1,600 guitar, a $1,000 guitar. I want to find a guitar that I think feels good, plays good, sounds good at a budget. It doesn't make it a bad guitar. It just means that this is a more price-friendly guitar, and it does the things I want it to do. I would have no problems at all taking this guitar out, okay, and let's say I get a GP200, okay, I get this new X pedal, and I get that FRR, get that Mackie driver. You're at like $800 for the Mackie speaker, the Vailton, and the new X pedal. That Vailton does a lot of crap, guys. It does more than the 50. You can stack a bunch of stuff on it. A guitar like this, I'm playing bars with a very high quality rig at stupid volumes. I could play anywhere with that for under $1,200 or even under $1,300. I know I could do it for $1,200 because I've seen that Vailton go on sale for $299. And I've seen the Mackie on sale for $299. I've seen them actually $249 right before Christmas. So you could do it for $1,200. A solid guitar, a solid multi-effects pedal, a solid IR pedal, and a bulletproof PA speaker. I've got a Mackie board over here that's 30 years old. Is it perfect? No. It just needs to be cleaned. It's got some dirty traces in it. But the thing still works. Mackie makes good stuff. I guess Mackie has become the new Peavey, I guess you could say. I kind of like the older Peavey a little better, but the Mackie stuff I have is bulletproof. If the new Mackie stuff isn't, please put in the chat the new Mackie stuff isn't what it was. I've had great success with Mackie. That's just me. So if someone else has a better idea for a budget bar system that also would be really good at home, I'm curious what you guys think. That's what I would do. If I was going to go out and play in a bar today, I'd have this guitar, okay, or a guitar like it with a tremolo. It would probably have to have a tremolo. I'd probably have this guitar and maybe one of my tremolo guitars, okay, a $500 tremolo guitar, and build that little PA system. It would be very easy. If I went out with this one, I've got one guitar. I couldn't fit the GP200 in it, but I could fit the GP50 and this pedal in the guitar case. Have my cords and stuff in like a little tote bag in my PA speaker. That I can fit that in a Yugo. If you've got a Honda Fit, you can put your guitar in your cabinet and still get 50 miles to the gallon going to the gig. I guess I just wanted to talk about this tonight, guys. I feel so strong, and I'm bad for it too. I always want the latest, greatest thing. And if it wasn't for my board being the age that it is and the direction that I want to move now, I probably wouldn't be looking at a wing rack. But doing what I'm doing here with this microphone and wanting to play this guitar on the streams, the wing rack or the X32 rack is the way to go. What would be the smarter way? The X32 rack. I saw it was on sale for $699 during Christmas. I'm only scared about the X32 because it's been out for so long. And I'm worried Behringer is going to stop the support of the unit. So I would rather spend twice the money and know that I at least have 10 years of support, because the X32 has been out for about 8 years. Behringer's usually pretty good for supporting their products for about 10 years. That's still horrible, though, in my opinion. Um, and the reason it's like that is because of the interface to your computer. So Windows has to stay relevant, and it has to be able to connect to any new operating system. That's the advantage to this equipment. And that's the reason why it's never went out of date, because I didn't need a computer to change anything. Everything possibly that you can do, I can do from the front face of the unit. I don't need to connect it to a computer. Unlike this Yamaha, if I want all the features, I have to connect it to a computer. I have no access to the features in this amp, some of them, unless it's tied to a computer. The wing rack would be the same way. It is accessible through the face, but not every feature is accessible through the face. That kind of causes an issue down the road. I don't know, but that's the way I'm going to go. Would it be better? I did look at some new boards. I can buy an Allen and Heath for the same money. Be a stupid good board, 16 board. I could get that for $1,500 for a 16 channel board. I would have died for an Allen and Heath board 30 years ago. That, back when I was playing, that was like a Cadillac board. I could get a Midas board. I'm still old school. I still have all my rack, my gates, my compressors. But the advantage to the X32 is I only need one plug-in, and that one plug-in will serve all 48 channels at different ratios. I no longer need 48 compressors, 48 channel strips. Or if you only have 4 people singing, you only need 4 channel strips. You only need maybe 8 compressor limiters. With the ring rack, I don't need any of that. I can get everything through plugins. And as I understand it, each plugin is capable, once it's by channel. So it's copying that plugin in every channel. So I can change the parameters of that plugin for every channel. I only need one of them though. It's copying it. It's like cloning it in the computer system. I no longer need a rack, a 50 unit rack to have all these options. And I can change my routing just by pushing a couple buttons on the computer. I no longer need a patch bay to change my signal path. I can type on the computer and never get behind my control desk to make a change. I can change the signal path instantly. So that's why I'm kind of thinking about going that way, especially with what I'm doing here. So if you guys have a suggestion on amps or anything like that, I wanted to do something different. We don't usually talk amplifiers on the channel. I know Devastator has went head rush, so he's doing head rush stuff now. I don't see Kurt on here tonight. I know Kurt has a bunch of different things that he's doing. He has some rack mount stuff and some, I think the Stomp, which I have the Stomp, which is capable of modeling. So you can also go down that rabbit hole, guys. You could get a Line 6 Stomp, okay? That already has your cab R's in it. And then just get your powered speaker. Get a Line 6 Stomp for $5.99. That's it. That's all you need. Then your FRR or your powered PA speaker. It'd be a fraction more. But you're eliminating this guy. The one advantage to that over the Velton is a lot of people are in the Helix system. A lot of that stuff's for free. You can get free models, free IRs. There's a ton of people that's already done a ton of programming on that platform, and it's all out there for free. It's for free. And count on that price going down on the Stomp now that the new stadiums are out. I see the Stomp coming in at $4.99 by the end of the year. because of the new stadium stuff. I could be wrong. I paid $650 for mine. If I was going to go out and play live, I would probably take my HX Stomp and a powered PA speaker. My Wolfdales here, I run Wolfdales. Steve about fell out of the chair when he looked up the Wolfdale pricing. Very, 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 very happy with my two Wolfdale drivers. I am stupid happy with my Wolfdale drivers. If they fail right now, I will not be replacing my Wolfdale drivers. Yeah, I can't afford them now, but when I got them, I could. I picked them up used, and I got a really good price on them. And even though it was a really good price, it was still a stretch for me to put that kind of coin down on two speakers. They're about 20 years old now, but they're amazing drivers. They are amazing drivers. Keep your eyes open. I know I'm bad. I don't have the money in the bank now. But if you have money, start saving money. There are deals that come along, guys, that are just stupid. Whether they're upgrading because they feel that they need to upgrade, capitalize on it. That's the time to capitalize. We're looking at Steve. I was talking to him. He just got an Ibanez. Well, I won't get into where the money come from, but what he got versus what he was going to have and the dollar, he's far ahead of the game, in my opinion. He's ahead of the game. There's one on Marketplace right now for $400 that I am chomping at the bit to buy. It has the bridge that I've always wanted to try. That it's another company Floyd Rose sued, and they could no longer produce that bridge. I have never played one, but I hear the bearing-based Ibanez tremolo before the edge was the best tremolo ever produced. I don't know. I never played one. They were made for a year and a half, and they were stupid good, evidently. The Kaler 2700 I like. Kaler sued, Floyd Rose sued them too, and they can't produce that. But there's one on Marketplace right now for $400. They usually go for $800-900, and it is just like this one. It's a humbucker, and on an S model, they're always humbucker, single humbucker. This one's two humbuckers with that wild Ibanez bridge with a global tuning system on the back of the guitar. If you don't know what the global tuning system is, look into it. They're stupid nice. It's all in this guitar for $400. Yeah, I would love to have that guitar. Love to own that guitar. It's just one of those things. I got to make a choice, wing rack or guitar. And right now I have a ton of guitars, so I don't need another one. So we're devoting the coin towards the wing rack.
Steve said, ask the guy if he'd take $350.
I told Linnell the other day, send him a message, see if he'll take $300. I know that's kind of lowballing, but you're right, Steve. I should call him and see if he would take $350.
Yeah, you should.
You just heard Linnell. It's not like the wing rack is going to go up in price. They're still making them. I don't know. I know I need a board, so we're going to concentrate on things that we need for the channel. I've got parts coming for this guitar. I was hoping my bridge was going to be here before the stream, but it looks like it did get delivered today, so should be here on Monday. So after Monday, I'll have my bridge. I've got my two pickups, and I was looking at tuning keys tonight. So I don't know when I'm going to order the tuning keys. I was going to order the tuning keys for the Washburn and this one at the same time. Also need to order some Barnes pots for the Washburn. We only had 2 people go to Discord and chime in on what we should do to the Washburn. So let's go to Discord real quick. Let me actually...
Steve said that Mackie is still working, mostly.
Yeah, it is. It just needs to be cleaned, guys. That's the thing with the
See,
Mackie.
it's another excuse to get this guitar.
Oh, well, that's true too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me see. Where is it? Washburn suggestions. There it is. So now that I have that pulled up, so here were Devastator and Steve put in here. Devastator says tuners, electronics, jack, and strings. Steve said aside from tuners, pots, tone cap, and pure tone jack, I'd leave the rest up to the winner. And then Devastator said I agree, and he said untwisting the neck. So the neck technically isn't twisted. It has a little hump when it comes off the flat spot of the body, so it needs to be straightened. So I'm going to go ahead and order Barnes pots. The only Barnes pots I have are push-pull downstairs. So I'm going to order 2 Barnes pots. I'm probably just going to go ahead. Now, I know it's humbucker single. So I'm probably going to still put a 500K pot in it. That's something that you guys can post in there too. Single coils usually use a different K rating. So whether I should use a 250 or 500K pot. Then so 2 Barnes pots, tone pot, volume pot, a new tone capacitor, pure tone jack. Okay, I've already put the string tree on it, and I'm looking at tuning keys. And then of course we're gonna sand the back of the neck because there's some spots on the back of the neck and the headstock. Get all that cleaned up. And we are talking about this month's guitar giveaway. That will be the last Saturday stream when we give the guitar away. The guitar will not be finished by that date, I can already tell you. But we do have pictures of the guitar on Discord, and we did a live review on it, the RX-25. Go back and look at it. That's the guitar we're giving away. And I'm doing repairs on it. So if you have suggestions on what you would like the guitar to have or have repaired, please go to the Discord. Devastator or Steve, one of the two has created the room where you can go in and discuss it. And the room name is Washburn Suggestions. And it's right under the guitar giveaway opt-in room. So please go there, leave me a suggestion on what you would do. The guitar was donated, so that leaves revenue to put into this guitar. Just saying. Now keep in mind we do have to get it fixed and to its new owner, preferably by the end of February. So let's keep that in mind, guys. I can't do the level of neck work on this one that I did on the gym. I just don't have the time to do that and the electronics. So we will fix the issues, and I'll make the guitar as good as I can make it within reason, if that makes sense. You know, I know it needs electronics. We showed that on the review. The electronics aren't that good on the guitar. That doesn't mean we have to cut corners on the neck. We can get the neck as straight as possible, and I can get the back of the neck and the side of the neck sanded, and I'll do a basic dressing on the frets that get hit on the side, okay, and clean up the frets. That's no big deal. Put tried and true on the back of the neck. I think if I do all that, I'm pretty much going to be capped out on time. But still, go there and leave some suggestions if you disagree, or go in and say, look, you should use 250 pots or a 500K pot. Any suggestions that you guys have, that you have maybe done one in the past, a humbucker single, and you feel this combination works best, even a cap suggestion. I was thinking .033, since we're dealing with single coils and a humbucker, and we only have one tone, remember that, guys. So that cap has to work and play well with the single coils and our humbucker. So any suggestions, and that's you guitar techs out there that watch in the background that don't say anything, you know, I'm one person. You know, I can't do everything. And I want to give a shout. Who was the gentleman that posted on Discord, hun? On Steve's thing?
That I think his name's Jeff, the junior tech.
Yeah, Junior Tech. I think Jeff is what she said. That's what Discord's about. And his analysis was spot on. Okay? Spot on. What he's saying is right. If you look at the picture, that's not the base plate that's sticking up. If you look at where the fine tuners are, that's part of the saddle that's moving. But if you look at the very bottom of the picture, you can see the base plate's not parallel to the body. He's saying get that, and you don't have to necessarily worry about the saddles, because as you change the fine tuners, of course it changes.
What about a Synergy amp with the preamp modules? Not cheap, but cheaper than buying individual combo amps or heads and cab.
I want the IR20. I'm using the Synergy right here, guys. Hold on for a second. I'm going to change cameras, and we're going to go over and look at my Synergy system. So this is my Synergy. I'm running the Friedman module and the Sedano module. And that is the Synergy. And this is the power amp that I'm running. Oh, it's not coming into view. What's funny is Philip McKnight, you know, I love Philip McKnight, met him at Sweetwater one time, and he did an 80s rack thing. And to be honest with you, what he built is not an 80s rack. That's a far cry. Most of the stuff he used wasn't even available in the 80s. But if you look at the power amp, oh, I got to change. If you look at the power amp he used, it looks a lot like this Pro valve, but it said Moss valve. No guitar player in the 80s building a rack, well, I won't say no because none. They did build them. It's a MOSFET amp. Is it a bad amp? No, I guess it's not a bad amp, but it's not this amp. I get it. He bought that Moss valve for probably $399. He didn't want to spend $1,200 on the real one. This is an 80s rack.
It's intermission time.
Oh, but this is an 80s rack, guys. You guys have seen it. This is an 80s. This is a late 80s, early 90s rack. This is what it would consist of, other than the Synergy preamp system that I just put in. If someone was wanting to do something, they may not use this, okay, the SGX 2000. They might have went the ADA MP1 with the TC Electronics effects unit, then the BBE, then the power amp. But this is what the 80s unit, I really think, when he put in there, I liked the video. I didn't comment on it. I think he did okay for what he was trying to build. I just don't think the equipment that he really used, there was nothing 80s there. But we can update. Everyone says rack stuff's not big anymore. There's a lot of companies now coming out with rack mount preamps. Don't think rack is gone. Rack is still superior. You can put it in a rack, you put it in a flight case, and you throw it in the truck. That's why it's in a rack box. A good rack box, the inner box is isolated from the outer box. So when it gets hit, there is secure foam and resin foam and rubber before it gets to the inner box where the rack is. It's designed to absorb impacts, all kinds of stuff. A good flight case will do that. This equipment is designed to be beat on. That's what it was designed to do. They know you're going to take it and bam, up on the throw it in the truck, throw it in the airplane, throw it on top of the cabinet. It had a much higher impact testing done on rack equipment. And if it wasn't, then it's fake rack equipment that they just put ears on to make it look expensive. But real professional rack equipment is pretty much shockproof. That doesn't mean you can stick it out your car and just vibrate it like this all day long and expect the solder joints not to fail. It's within reason. Good rack stuff is good stuff. If you listen, everyone here probably remembers, there's some younger people that watch the stream. Thank you, younger people. We're not old fogies here. We like music, and we still like to rock and roll. There's a reason when we listen to these albums, like, even the younger generation, Eddie had a sound. Well, he wasn't running a Fractal. He wasn't running a modeler. He had a beat-up piece of crap amp that was red plating tubes because he had money and he didn't care. So he just had it so out of whack and out of balance, and the voltage turned up so much he got a sound. And he did that over time. I like this sound. I don't care if I blow a tube every 2 nights. You want that sound? Turn the voltage up on your preamp to your tubes. Red plate the snot out of them, but be prepared to buy a lot of tubes. Or buy a modeler and emulate it. That old stuff was built like tanks. You could crank the voltage up on it. The transformers in them were overbuilt. If you take this Egnator, everyone knows Egnator had horrible transformers. This one supposedly has one that's not horrible. Could I go in there and crank the voltage up on that thing and just overvolt the tubes? How long would that transformer in this modern Egnator survive when you really put the screws to it? Crank the voltage up, get it on stage, and play at full volume. How long would it survive? That's the difference between the older equipment that was built rugged and some of your new. Now, I'm not saying all your new stuff's junk. There's some rugged stuff out there, but you're gonna pay for it. So, not rambling, just kind of going over it. My art is, it's not overtuned. The plate voltage is where it's supposed to be. The preamp tubes in this thing are at least 15 years old. I'm sure if I put new tubes in it, it may sound better. And I guarantee you, with the last tube change it was done, it probably has GT tubes on it, because I thought they were the best at the time. I'm sure if I put 2 really nice mollards in it, it would probably sound a little better. It would, because I sent my 1 unit out for repair, and it had an AUX7 in it. And the first thing he said, this is a dirty, nasty tube. You need to put a 12AX7 in it. And I remember putting that tube in it because I went to the store and I said, I want more dirt. And that was the tube they sold me. And they were right. It's a dirty ass tube. Excuse my French, it's a family show. But it's not the dirt that we want. It's not distortion dirt. It's just crud. It introduces a lot of noise in the signal path. Instantly, when I took the 12AU7 out and put a 12AX7 in, how much warmer and cleaner the signal was coming out of my line tube amp. Little tiny things make changes. Someone asked me, I think it was Jupe, what I thought of the KT88 tubes. I think they're great tubes. I'm a 6L6 person. Each tube's going to have a little bit different sound. Sometimes we can pick the wrong tube for what we're trying to do, and then we blame the amplifier. sometimes it's not the amp, sometimes it's the tube. And I'm not saying the difference between a Mullard tube and a JJ tube. I'm not saying, oh, the JJs are cheap. If you put Mullards in, it's going to sound good. A lot of amps, you don't necessarily have to run a 12AX7. You can run a 12AU7, I think is what it is. That's the dirty one. You're going to get more dirt. It's going to be fuzzier sounding, not as clean sounding. If you like a fuzz tone, that might be the perfect tube for you to face off with a fuzz pedal. I don't know, I've never tried it, but it was the wrong tube for me. The KT88 has a completely different sound over the 6L6. So sometimes we just kind of look at it, look at the amp, and see if you can use different tubes in it. We're not talking about an amp that you got to put a tube socket, an adapter socket in. I had a VHT amplifier here that I sold to someone, and Mike had modified it and put a tube socket on it, and he was running an alternative tube. The guy took it home, saw that you could put a different tube in it. He put the new tube in it, okay? Didn't like it and wanted to go back to the old one. Well, the tube adapter does not have the rotation pin. If you didn't put it in the right way, guess what? He didn't put it in the right way. He put the tube socket, the adapter in, stuck the old tube that I sold the amp to him to start with, but it was now clocked differently, turned it on, and the amp went poof. Smoke. Yeah, fried the amp instantly. Blew all kinds of crap out of the amp. I don't recommend that. You can do it. But there are tubes that share the same socket and same pin orientation that you can change that'll drastically change the way the amp sounds. There are two different types of tubes. You can, again, get tube adapters that you can plug this adapter in, then you can change basically what the adapter is doing. It's changing the pin location on the tube to make it work. But usually those adapters don't have, there's a pin in the center that has a bead on it, and that aligns up to the socket to clock the socket a certain way. Usually they don't have that. You look at the pin number to pin number, and it goes in that way. So just do your research before you start putting different tubes in your amp. Make sure the pin allocation is right, or you will smoke the amplifier. All right, I've been rambling. We're going to take our 5-minute break, and any questions, guys, let's go over. Really, I want to take the channel a little differently. I told Linnell at the beginning, anyone that asks something directly to me, she's supposed to shout out to me. So evidently there hasn't been a direct question to me other than the time she shouted out. We're trying to do something different. There are two of us here, so we should be able to do a little better as far as interacting with you guys and suggestions. So when we come back, let's try to kick it up one more notch. Let's try to interact a little bit more. I want to get better at that. I truly think that's my weak point. Okay, and we're family here, so let's talk guitars and amps when we come back.
Are you talking about the Vailton GP200? Is it even available in the U.S.?
Yes, the Vailton GP200 is available through Amazon right now for $349.
Amazon or Sweetwater?
Amazon has it.
Okay.
Sweetwater we looked at the Mackie cabinet and the Pulse pedal. I looked on Amazon for this one, the Pulse. It's a little hour pedal. And you could load different hours to it, because Steve sent me a Celestion hour, and that's what's on this one, on this setting. Because when you plug it into the computer, you can leave certain hours where they are. So I put Steve's here, that's the Celestion, and then when I move it here to the one slot over, that's the Celestion cream back. So I've got Steve's here, which is the green back, and I move it one over, I've got cream backs. And then this one is supposed to be a Celestion V30. So I just turn the knob. This knob is supposedly how close the microphone is. So here, it's very close. And the more I turn it up, the microphone, supposedly it's emulating the microphone moving away from the cabinet. And this is the output, the level. I really like this little pedal. I got this one used. Someone bought it and said they didn't like it. Shout out to my local store, Shenandoah Music. I bought it for $80. And there's no scratches. Works fine. Why buy it for $109 or $99 if I can get a, you know, like new used for $20 less? I'm about money, guys. My local store has a whole rack of used pedals. Every time I go in, I'm looking. Maybe someone's going to trade in a Tone King pedal or one of the MXR phase pedals. Stupid good pedal. Love to have one of those or something else. Maybe someone will bring in, I don't know, whatever it is. I'm always looking for different stuff. Every time I go in, I look at the pedal section, see what they got used. I go right over to the used guitar section. What they got used? Someone has already taken the smack in the face. Because I don't care if you buy Ibanez or Firefly, you can have it a month. You're going to lose your butt when you go to sell it. More so on the budget brands. But you're going to still lose a tremendous amount of money on this Ibanez. So I go right over and I look. If I can save $200 or $150 on an Ibanez that's 2 or 3 months old or 6 months old that was never played, I'm jumping on it. And every guitar that I've gotten at Shenandoah used, I pick it up, I look at it. Linnell got her, was it the blue RGA? For $200. That's a stupid good deal. For $200? Come on. What guitar are you going to buy with good tuners like that, awesome pickups, the fit and finish that thing has, and the setup for $200? I don't care it was used. We thought it was new. We didn't realize the guitar was used until we were carrying it up and they saw us used. Couldn't have told me it was used. There wasn't a spot on it. So always check out your used section. I don't make a commission whether you go, I don't. I want you guys to use my affiliate links. We started using affiliate links again. I finally did get my Amazon thing. So that does help the channel, guys. Using the Amazon affiliate links does help a little bit. Is it going to make me rich? Absolutely not. If you buy a guitar on Amazon, I'm going to make about $3.50 on a guitar. And I think I've sold 4 guitars on Amazon. And I think they were Leo James. Every one of them was a Leo James. Even though I did the reviews. That's my point. I'm not downing Leo James. I don't. If you watch my review and you can live with whatever I find on the guitar and you like it and you think it sounds good and you ordered on Amazon and it fits you, that's it. That's your guitar. And I thank the 4 people that did buy. I'm pretty sure 3 of them were Leo James and 1 was a Grote. Thank you for watching the review and going to Amazon and purchasing those products. Thank you for the people that bought beans and pantyhoses. Because I got commission on that. That's not how it works. You don't have to buy the product. Use my link. Once you use the link, if you buy something else, odds are I'm still going to get a commission on it. So anything helps, guys. And the super chats help fund the channel for the guitar giveaways. Not a sermon, just a thought. All right, let's take a drink. I need a drink anyway, guys. But when we come back, we really want to push the interaction thing. I can't read every comment, so Linnell's going to help me, and we're going to go into question answer. And I don't care what it's about. And if I don't have the answer, that's what the chat room's about. All right, guys, let's get something to drink, hit the restroom, get some vittles. Okay, guys. I was reading some of the comments because I only have one monitor, guys. So if you don't know, this is a small channel. I try to pride myself in the content that we create, that it's usable information, and it's not blow smoke up your butt information. It's not about selling a product. It's about, we try to do these live streams and talk about how we feel and what we think works. I've got experience playing out as a semi-pro musician for many years. Gave up, didn't play for years. Started playing again.
You have a comment that says, this is from some guy you don't know. Says you were talking about how Art preamp had isolated the heat of the 12AX7 from the PC board, but the 12AX7 doesn't really get hot.
No, it's not a super hot tube, but Digitech didn't do that. And if you look, there was two things the Digitech was famous, well actually three things that fail on the Digitech. The 2112, 2120, 2101, they had problems. The big problem was the encoder knob, the big knob on the front. That's the knob that gets used the most. Okay, so what ends up happening as you turn it, you might do it 2 clicks and it not move. You spin it and it might move 2 clicks. So the encoder knob was a problem. The next issue they had was on their printed circuit board, they have a plastic jack with the prongs that come around that go into the board. Some of their earlier products had a problem with those getting brittle and they would crack. That's why you see so many replacement parts for the Digitech with that. And it wasn't just Digitech. They didn't make that part. There was another company made them and a lot of different companies used them. They all had that problem. It was just this one particular vendor that wasn't just Digitech. A bunch of companies were buying this component and they had a lot of problems with it. The next problem Digitech had was they put a secondary board sideways, okay, and then used a ribbon cable over to it, and their two 12AX7s went in to the side, okay, and it was up, since it was a 1U rack, it was right in that lower back corner, and they had problems with the heat in those tube sockets. 12AX7s didn't get that hot, so most likely it was the material or the tube socket that they used didn't play well with that little bit of heat the 12AX7 made. This one, instead of the white socket that Digitech used, this is it's not ceramic like some of the old tubes. It's a black plastic, okay? And they've mounted that directly to a steel plate, and it has pins that come through the steel plate on the housing. It is point-to-point soldered from there directly to the printed circuit board. It doesn't have a ribbon cable coming off. It's a point-to-point wire from that metal bracket, and it comes into the corner. They've got a slit cut in the bottom because it's a 2U, okay? There's a slit cut in the bottom, and there's a little tiny hole across the top side of the unit for that to breathe independently of the other side. There's no gasket around that top piece of metal. So there is just a little bit of a crack there. It's not a sealed cavity, but it's sealed off enough to keep the heat out of the PC side. Something else they did on this one that they didn't do on the SGE model. It also has a solid state preamp with 2 MOSFETs in the back. On the original SGE, the very first production line that come out, they screwed those to the back piece of metal. It was not sufficient for cooling, and they had MOSFET problems. I do think they fixed it on later production runs of the SGE. All the SGE Mach Twos have a big heat sink on the back. They literally cut the chassis out of the back, and those MOSFETs are bent in, and they directly screw with heat paste to that heat sink. Little things like that make a difference. Are we talking a tremendous amount of heat? No. But heat is your enemy when it comes to capacitors and these caps, especially anything that stores current. Okay? Like the backside of your transformer, you should have some voltage caps. So anytime there's a quick power spike and the transformer drops, these caps store current, and they're able to transfer that current far faster than that transformer can. So it takes up the irregularities. They do not like heat whatsoever. Anything you can do to keep that heat down gives the product longevity. And remember what I said earlier, I've left this thing on for weeks at a time. I just never used to think about it. I just walked by, yeah, it's on, whatever. And it would sit there and just cook. I'd hate to fathom the hours, okay, that this thing has been on, whether it was being used or sitting idle. Either way, it's still heat. Like, I couldn't fathom the hours that are on that unit. And it still functions like it was new. That means that's a really, really good design. You may not like ART. You may not like the certain things it does as far as the sound. But you got to give them credit. These units are still in the wild, and they're 34 years old. And there's still a ton of them out there that work flawlessly. That's a statement. We're not saying, you're not talking about something, they didn't sell these like Fender Twin Reverb amps. You could buy a Fender Twin Reverb tube amp for less money than this in '90. This thing was $1,300 before you bought the X15, which was another $350. That was expensive. And you didn't get a power amp and speakers. That was expensive. That was a lot of money back then. That's fractal money in today's market. And it should be. At the time, that was the best. You wanted an all-in-one tube preamp with effects, you got this. That was it for a year and a half until Digitech come out with their, I believe the 2112 was the first unit that they produced, and it just didn't have the gain and the balls that the Art had. And the Art stacks preamps. So you can use your solid state preamp and then run it into the tube preamp and use it as a boost or a little bit of gain. That's how I always used it. It wasn't all tube gain. I got a solid state preamp. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use that other preamp to get me some gain. I'm not getting it all out of it, but I'm going to get a little gain, and I'm going to push those two 12EX7s.
Right, there's the Stomp and the Stomp XL. Which one do you have?
I just have the regular one. I got the small one. Where's it at? Hold on. I'll show you the one that I have. The XL has more plugins. So this is the one that I have. Now the XL has more plugs. So if you want more versatility, you get the XL. But this one has a spot for the expression pedal. So I could have one expression pedal with this, and I already have it. So if I was going to go out and play live, and I've gotten some good sounds out of this. When we first started doing some of the interface stuff, I was running this. Okay? I just like the Yamaha better because I got some knobs. I can just reach over and turn the bass knob. I can turn the middle. I can turn the highs. I can turn the knob and get more gain. With this, I've got to go into the menu. But if I'm playing out live, I really shouldn't be screwing with my gain. The only thing I should have to do is maybe EQ my signal a little bit to blend into to my playing environment. And I should be able to do that before the band plays. Okay? Once I get my sound, I just need to get that sound in its environment. So you may have to EQ your sound to where when it comes out of your driver, whatever frequencies are being absorbed in the room, you're compensating for, or frequencies that are bouncing off solid objects. So if I was going to go out and do it, I would do this with my powered PA speaker. I would probably get the Mackie. You know, for me, I would, I don't know, I'm getting old, so I would probably do the 12 and the horn. I would prefer the 15. The 15 is just going to push more air. It's going to be a little more nice, if that makes sense. But the 12, the people in the audience would not be able to tell the difference between the 12 and the 15. They just wouldn't. I don't need the power. So I could use this and that powered PA speaker and be done. And if I needed to go front of house, I can go front of house out on this. It's easy. It's simple. And I've got MIDI. So I could technically put this on a shelf back there, run my MIDI cable right here out to my X15, and I could program my MIDI cable to any song that we're playing, to any chain that I wanted to use. I already have that equipment. Why would I go out and buy an expression pedal? I can control my 2 expression pedals that are on my X15 through MIDI and assign that to a level or a bias or something in the programming. You just need to program it. That's part of being in a band, setting up your effects for your songs. So, but I want to keep it simple, stupid. I would just take this and my little powered speaker and my guitar. And it would be fine, guys. This would be fine. There is nothing in the world wrong with this little HX Stomp. I just have a YouTube channel. So we cover a bunch of different stuff. Are there units out there better than the HX Stomp for the money? Probably. That little Vailton GP200, you can get 2 of them for the price of that right now. I think that unit's $5.99 or $6.99. That's pretty expensive. And it's older. And there's certain effects when you use it, takes more processing power, so it eliminates what else you can use. And I'm sure the GP200 is the exact same way. I don't know. I don't have one. But keep that in mind. If you use a really high-tech delay, you're going to be limited on what other things that you can do. Oh, thank you so much, Trucker Bob. So you're going to be limited. When you get an FM3, it's going to give you a little more power than this. But the FM3 doesn't have the power of the FM9. So you can have more crap on the FM9. It's also bigger. Costs more money. We were first talking about doing something on a budget. So I would probably do, if I was on a budget, I would do the GP50. And I don't think that has cab sims in it. If it does, then you don't even need this. Just go GP50 right to the PA speaker. But I'm under the impression that it does not have cab simulation. I could be wrong. If someone knows if it has cab simulation, please put in the chat. But I don't think the GP50 and the GP200 have that. If it does, then you're going to save $100. If the GP200 has it, then you need that and the PA speaker, and then you're done. Then you're in your $700 price bracket. You could do the GP50 for $100, and then $350 for that puts you at $450. That's cheaper than the Fender GTX 100. That's a stupid buy. I was just putting it out. I still like amplifiers. That's why I have my Egnator right there, and I've got my rack amp, and I've got a Black Star that's blown up underneath my desk. I'm one of the lucky people that bought a Black Star and it died right after warranty. I talked to some people and they've had their Black Stars for years, never had a problem with it. I'm one of the people that bought a $1,000 tube Black Star and it made it a year and a half and died. Maybe I got a bad one. I know this, the amp sounded awesome when it worked, but it doesn't work anymore. I paid $1,000 to have an amp for a year and a half. That's not good math. That's not good. I don't care if you're a rich person. That's just economically that doesn't make sense. For $1,000, I want my amp to last. You know, I get it. It is a modern tube amp, and I know they use SMDs. I'm not going down the SMD rabbit hole. I know techs hate them because they don't like working on them. This amp has them. But a year and a half, Steve has mentioned it's probably the MOSFETs. They didn't put heat sinks on them. Shame on Black Star. Why would you have two MOSFETs in an amp like that and not put a heat sink on it? ART did it, but they learned. They had it fixed before the SGE Mach 2 come out. They knew, oh, we can't do this unless we have a heat sink. We got to have something. Bolting it to the side of the chassis is not enough. We have to have a heat sink. They made the change. Black Star hasn't. They're still doing the exact same crap they did 4 years ago. Is it engineered obsolescence? Do they want it to fail? Or, which is probably what it is, they don't have a high enough failure rate and warranty rate to justify the change. People still buy the amp. Not enough of them fail to warranty making the change. That's business, I guess. I disagree with it though, because I talk to people and that seems to be the issue the amplifier has.
Vox says because they want you to buy another.
Yeah, engineered obsolescence, Vox. I hate to say that. It's like new cars. New cars don't hold up like cars. And everyone says old cars. I'm going to qualify that. I'm going to say the cars in the 80s were the best cars ever made. Over the old cars. They really were. Good cars. Just enough technology to make them right, and just enough ingenuity to make them last forever, and they functioned well. Today's cars, there's just too much crud on them. Too much crap to go wrong. Some of these cars, you can't even access the computer unless you go to the dealership, unless you have a $5,000 scan tool. Your mom and pop shop can't work on it anymore. Is it designed that way? I think so. They want return money to that dealership for Ford or Chevy or Honda or Nissan, whoever it is. I think it's built that way. Black Star, on their case, they don't have many service centers. My nearest Black Star service center is 2.5 hours away. And it's a dude working out of his garage, but he's an authorized Black Star service. There is no replicable, like full-time we work on electronics place in a 6-mile radius that work on Black Star. That's authorized service. Their customer service is, I don't know. If you get one, I think it's a reasonable price, and if it lasts, good for you. I'm one of the people that it died very early on. A year and a half was not acceptable for a $1,000 tube amp. I get it. Well, it's a $1,000 tube amp. What do you expect? I expect it to last longer than a year and a half. That's just what I expect it to last longer than a year and a half. 5 years? I don't think that's too much to ask. And really, in reality, that's awful too. I'm not used to spending $1,000 and, oh, let's get 5 years. I'm used to buying something and you get 30 years out of it. That's what I expect. I work hard. When I buy it, I don't want to have to replace it because I plugged it in and smoke come out of it. Or I plugged it in and it just doesn't function. Or I bought something that is dependent on my computer and it is no longer supported with Windows 10, Windows 11. It was built when Windows 95 was out and it just says unrecognizable device. You can't even get a software that'll operate on the new platform to run it. And I hear the answer, well, you can get software now that'll run Windows 95 in the background. Might be true, but is it going to allow you to operate the equipment that was designed for it? That's what scares me about the wing rack. Will the ring rack still be working in 30 years? Might be. But will I have a computer that I can plug up to it and make it work with all its bells and whistles in 30 years? My Mackie over here is 30 years old. It still works, but I don't need a computer. I'm not dependent on a computer to run that. When I bought that, Pentium 90s were out. I don't know anyone still running a Pentium 60 and a Pentium 90. You guys? I mean, we're talking Windows 3.1 or 3.2, whatever it was. You know, I learned on Fortran. That's what I learned on. I remember Windows. All Windows was is it made Fortran look pretty. So that's what it was. All DOS and Fortran ran in the background. I could run my SCSI drives and had no problems. And it was so funny, my first full Windows system without DOS booted up, and it come up and said, there are no hard drives connected to your computer. There are no blah, blah, blahs hooked to your computer. And I'm like, well, how in the heck are you running then? Because I was running all SCSI. It didn't like it because all that stuff was DOS based. So it was firing up before the operating system ever loaded. And Windows 95, I think Windows 98 was the last version of Windows that, no, I take that back. I did run Windows 2000 Server with my SCSI system. And they did eventually work it out. People still use SCSI. You know, they use them for arrays and stuff like that. It's just technology changes. Now we're running M2 drives much faster. So in 20 years with my new wing rack, will I have an operating system and a computer that I can still use things? Will there be even a need for something like that? Think about it. The wing rack is designed to work with the computer. So what's actually in the wing rack? You already have the computer, okay? We have modeling amps, okay? What do you need to add to your home computer to make a modeling amp? At what point do we come out of the PC slot, PCI slot, or an AGP slot, or a USB, directly to this miniature piece of hardware that turns your computer into a guitar amp? What is in this Yamaha modeling amp that's not already in my computer? All you need is what's missing, and let the computer do the rest of the work. At what point do we get to the point where we don't need the physical unit? All we need is part of it. And the computer recognizes just one small part that turns it into something more. That's what the wing rack is doing. It's turning your computer into a full-size board. We're probably already there. I'm just too old and not up on all the new stuff. But that's the direction that we're going. At some point, your computer in your studio will do all your effects processing it's going to do it all. What's in the fractal FM, FM units, the rack mount one, that's not in a computer? Whatever's not in the computer is all that you need if you already have the computer. You just need a way of interfacing the two, whatever port that may be. Whether that's a SCSI, which all USB is a generic version of SCSI. They figured out a way of making it cheap and mass producing it. The SCSI interface, from what I understand, they dropped some grounds, stuff like that, but it works on the same principle as USB. So what do we need to make that jump, if that makes sense? I don't know. I'm just talking. That's why I'm not a big fan of a lot of the stuff that you got to plug into the computer. With this unit, I will say this. I do have access to everything in this screen that I can control. It's a little clumsy, but I have the knobs and the buttons here. I do not need a computer to program this at all. I can get to every function without the computer. If I want to update it and add new IRs and cab models or pre-programs that other people have done, yes, I need a computer to put it in the system. But if tomorrow everyone moves to a different platform and I download all that stuff into it that I like, this will work until it fails. I don't need the computer to go in and change the EQ. I can change the EQ and all my settings just on the dials on the unit. So this should be a product that lasts. The Yamaha here doesn't work that way. I can't change the cabinet simulation on the face of this amplifier. The only way I can go in and change the cabinet I'm using is through the computer. At such time that I can no longer plug a computer that recognizes this in, whenever that happens, I lose functionality of this amplifier. I'm also going to lose, like it says chorus. I can change the amount of chorus from very little to more, like a level. But I can't change the rate, the depth, the width. But I can if I plug it into a computer. But if the computer goes away, whatever setting is in it, I'm stuck with it forever. All I can do is change the amount. They're doing that, guys, because potentiometers cost more money. The more they can offload on the product and into your computer, the cheaper they can make the product. Every little connection, every little pot costs money. That's just how it is. And I think someone was talking about it earlier. That was one of the reasons why they don't feel too comfortable with the modern amplifiers. I get it. Linnell wants the GT X100. You can't get to 30% of the stuff from the face of that unit versus the computer. Once you plug the computer in, you can change all kinds of parameters in the effects, but you can't from the face. She doesn't really want it for that. She wants it for one reason. She can plug her guitar into it, plug it into the wall. She wants to turn one knob and change the effects. Go from a clean to crunchy to jazzy to some freaky space sound back to a metal sound. And she doesn't have to do anything. She turns the one knob and turns it up. Stupid simple. It's already pre-programmed with 100 different sounds. She's just going to turn the knob until she gets one she likes, turn up the volume. Done. So in her case, that amp should be fine until the day it stops working. But for the person that wants to go in and tweak and adjust and do this or that, you're limited until you run into the time that you can no longer access it. Any questions, hon?
No.
Okay, I do have a pedal plugged into the front of our amplifier tonight. So here's our little amplifier. I did move my camera, so got to change it a little bit here. So here's our little amplifier, and I know it looks convoluted, so here's my cable. That is going into a Dr. J Lancelot pedal. We're coming out of the pedal to our tuner, then into our amplifier. So I want to turn this around so I can, you know, when I hit these buttons on the pedal, it actually hurts my little toes. So that's our sound. Kind of grungy sounding. Now I am going to kick on our Lancelot pedal. Shouldn't be that much difference. So I'm just going to strike the open D. That's on. And we actually have a more switch, which just adds a little boost. That's cranked all the way up before we start to introduce noise. It's quite mean. Now if I take the distortion out and I just use the boost side, this is just the boost side. Now we're going to take the boost side out. And you can hear the difference when I'm going to engage the boost. So I'm going to turn it on and off as I do it. You can hear it gets a little crunchier. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing. We're going to hit the gain switch. Again, a little crunchier. Now if we go down to our clean channel, you can hear that's all the distortion. So I'm not really using it too much on distortion. Now I'm going to hit the boost. And you can hear it adds a lot of on that boost circuit. Modeling amps, I've noticed some will take the pedals a little better. I don't think this little Yamaha does too bad with a pedal in front of it. But it still introduces things that, I'm not going to say I dislike it, but I notice that I have to play much more cleaner if I'm running this pedal in front of it. Now I do have this tuned a little weird, so let's just go up to a regular tuning. So this is our standard tuning now. I am down a half step. Now we're going to do the exact same thing now with the distortion pedal on. without the distortion pedal. You can hear, are you getting the gain? You're not quite getting the same gain, but to get more gain, you're also introducing, there's a lot of noise that's introducing to the A and the E string. I can hear it. I don't know how it translates on YouTube, and it forces you to really pick the guitar a little differently. It almost starts to sound more artificial sounding. It's starting to sound almost like a katana. There's a crackle that a tube amp doesn't do that I hear in that signal. If I turn that off, this is just the Yamaha. That sounds more like a tube amp to me, even though it has less distortion. So what I was trying to do, I was trying to get the Yamaha to get a little hairier and still retain what I like about it. I like that it sounds a lot like my tube amp. It just lacks a little push, if that makes sense. A little bit more interaction, a little bit more gain, okay? It just seems to lack it. Even though I crank it up and I hear the gain, when I get that much gain out of my tube amp, it really connects to me. It really flows and the notes sustain better, where the modeler seems to fall off a little quicker. Now, we can get that out of the pedal, but when I'm struggling with it, just becomes so darn noisy. We introduce so much line noise. So let me make a change, and I'll show you the line noise that we can get. Hear that? Now, really need shoes. That's a lot of noise. Now, if I turn the gain back on the Yamaha, that does control it. That should be the last time I have to tune. We were in drop C flat. So I like that. There's still a little noise, but it's a little crunchier. When you do the pull off, it has to have enough gain to where, but with this gain, it starts getting a little muddy. And a lot of that, you have to play very clean. And it's just starting to get that crack that I hear in modeling amps. Right there. I can tell that's a modeler. It's a little too much. Let's turn the more back. It's just starting to get to the point where you pull down, the note comes out. It's just a little too hairy, but the guitar's reacting right. It's just a little too much. So when I turn it back, you start losing it. Sometimes you can overgain it, and you think you're getting more, but you end up taking some signal out. That right there responds better. Less gain, but it's breaking up better and it's acting better as I'm playing it. That's still a lot of gain. Let's take a little more out. Let's go back down to our alternative tuning. See how you can pull? It works both. It's still a little too fuzzy sounding on the alternative tune. I don't know what you guys think of that. This is the Yamaha. Maybe next week I'll plug in the Line 6 stomp. And that's that little ditty I was working on when we first come into the stream, when you... The issue is this chord right here. The higher gain settings don't seem to play too well with it. I don't know. I'm playing with it. That's why we started playing with the pedal. I was trying to find something to add a little bit of bottom when I was playing that alternative tuning. And that's the amp in its stock setting with the gain turned down. Now if I turn the gain back up on the amp, it's a very natural sounding amp. So if you guys are wanting to spend $350 on a smaller amp, I really do. Kurt has one too. Kurt's main complaint was the low end. If you're playing the amp without the PA speakers like I'm doing it, and you're just playing it as the amp, standalone amp, it has two very small speakers in it. So it struggles getting the low end out of the amplifier. It's a desktop amp. That's what impresses me so much with it. You know, I did not buy it for how I'm using it. Sometimes we can look at some of the products that we have, and it may not necessarily work too well for what we bought it for, but it may actually work really well for something else. And I think this little Yamaha works well for doing what I do here. Let's go down to clean. Up to our fourth position. It's good for what I use it for. It's good because I can get a bunch of different sounds out of it. Oh, was there any questions, hon, on any of the topics that we covered? No. No? Okay, guys. Anything that you guys want to kind of go over? And again, I'm still looking for people to share the stream with. Okay, so if you want to get in, we do have a room on Discord. When we do the guitar giveaways, we could do 2 people. I really want to get people in on the stream. So I see there's 17 people still in here. Tonight's just kind of a goof off night, guys. You know, I'm not worried about extra. I mean, I am worried about subscribers. We want to grow the channel. But if we have slow nights and good nights, that's fine. The smaller the crowd means we can kind of talk amongst ourselves a little bit more. When you get 40, 50 people in here, it's really difficult for everyone to talk because the screen's just moving like crazy. Anything that you guys want to kind of go over, put it in Discord. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, like Devastator, Steve. Everyone can reach out to me and talk to me on the phone. Like Jupe can pick up the phone, he can call me. So send me a direct message on Discord if you want to chat directly. We also have voice chat in Discord, and then we have private messaging. We also have suggestion areas, so anything that you guys want to do, we definitely want to make some changes on the stream. I want it to be interactive, so I don't really know how to do that. So any help, guys, that would help. I need to become better as the person sitting here as well. And I tried to do that a little bit tonight when we were discussing the amps and stuff. We gotta kind of freshen it up, maybe go over some new topics. And that's why I kind of went over amplifiers. If next week you all want to go over speakers, let's look at different speakers and talk speakers, or talk microphones, or talk whatever. There's so many things that I'm interested in. Right now, I'm really interested in a new board. So I've been doing a lot of board research, what I can expect when I buy a new board. When I was looking for, the amp, my Egnator a couple years ago, I was really digging into 212, single 12, asking Mike which Egnators I should get, what years I should get. These are things that we can talk about. I know someone asked last week, Egnators had a problem. If someone's thinking about an Egnator, let's do some research. We'll find out which ones were the good years and which ones were the years to stay away from. That's kind of what I want the channel to do, is just information. Anything I find on something I don't know, I'm going to Google it. I'm going to go to Reverb, and I'm going to look at areas. Reverb has if you guys don't know it, Reverb has all kinds of like little, I guess, mini videos and series on certain equipment, like the history of Egnator, problems, like certain, got people say, oh, these were horrible and had a bad taste. Whoever does that creation, some of those little documentaries that you can find on Reverb are actually pretty good. There's a lot of information out there, guys. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you all watch something like that and you find it interesting, you think it helps the community, post it in Discord. I love watching documentaries and info on why certain things were done, or why it was canceled, or why it didn't fly at the time, but all of a sudden now everyone wants one. I'm into that. I want to know why. My personal feeling, if you're looking for a cheap cabinet with good speakers and you want a 412, that's the unsung hero right here. I don't know why. If you can find just the cabinet, you can buy a 4-speaker Celestion cabinet for around $300 in good shape. The Penta drivers are nice. Most people buy it, pull the speakers out, and then sell the speakers for, $75 to $100 a piece. I like it. It's a cool open back cabinet. It's a different kind of sound. Those are the things that we want people to go, hey, this is a diamond in the rough that most people don't know about. That's what we were talking about earlier. Before you go out and buy a bunch of pedals and waste $500, $600, $700 on pedals that hum on the floor. You heard the hum on this one. If I put 5 or 6 in line, they hum like a chorus, like the chorus, like the choir at your church. They woo. That's what they do. Why not just go out and buy? Racks were made up until about 2008, 2010. The rack system started disappearing. You can get a nice multiverb from 2010 for $150. Does everything you need it to do, and you don't have all these stomp pedals. Just putting it out there for people trying to save a little money that want that sound or want chorus and want reverb, want all these extras. And look, the new stadiums are out. So that means a lot of these older Helix Stomp units are going to come up for sale. People upgrading to stadiums. Start looking. This year, we're going to see a lot of the older Helix platform stuff come up for sale. And you should be able to get a good buy on it. There's nothing wrong with the old Helix. Nothing at all. There's not that many changes in the new stadium. Maybe you can pick up a new Helix Stomp with the expression pedal for half the price of a new stadium. That makes it feasible for a lot of people. You know, look at the Quad Cortex and some of these other companies that are coming out with newer products. The last gen, people will sell to get the newer products. So I guess that's what I wanted to talk about. Let's watch what we're doing and enjoy music for what it is. That's what it's about. And let's not forget, guys, let's go to Discord and put some suggestions in on the Washburn. I did post in there what I was going to do to the guitar, but any suggestions is great. If you're not already, we're giving away a Washburn RX 25. You have to be publicly subscribed to the channel, and you need to go to Discord and say, I want in. And we're going to draw that the last day of January. So that's this month's guitar giveaway. We already have the guitar set up for March. March's giveaway is done. Okay? It's not picked out. It's not won yet, but the guitar is picked out. You guys are going to like it. Any suggestions? 5 months down the road, we have about 4 months. So suggestions on it's going to be the beginning part of summer. When summer hits, we need to pick a guitar for summer. But the next guitar you guys are going to like too. I picked a winner. You guys are going to like it. What's it going to be? March's guitar for a March giveaway. It's going to be awesome. All right, guys. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for any super chats that were given. And I want the channel to grow. I need suggestions. Anything that you guys can think that'll help. Help me, help Linnell, or in general. I want to become better. Anything that you all can do to make me do this better. That's what I need. And go to Discord, enter to win. And I'm going to do our 5-minute ending chat. Thank you guys so much. It means so much when we do these streams on Saturdays and Thursdays. We do the reviews and stuff, and you guys come in. It really does help. I know this channel was started just by doing reviews. I get it. I did reviews and guitar tech stuff. So I still struggle, believe it or not, even though we've done this more than a year now, I'm still struggling with the live concept. I really am. But thank you guys so much for coming. It makes me feel good. Stream naked. Oh my God. That'll be Linnell's job. We'll put a brass pole up in here.
That'll scare you.
We'll get 1 million subscribers in no time.
No, you'll have minus 1 million.
Oh wow. That's awful. All right, guys. Thank you so much. You guys are the heart of the community. So thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for the super chats. And we're going to be reviewing something.
Mikey said
This coming
draws
Thursday.
every 3 months.
Draws every 2 months. So January's guitar is picked. So March's guitar is picked. I've already picked out March's guitar. So it'll be the guitar after that. We need suggestions on. And guys, it's no big rush. There might be something that comes out that sparks everyone's interest, you know, at the end of March. And we got to do that for a giveaway.
Mikey said, why?
It comes down to me, Mikey. I can only do so much. I work about 45 hours a week, okay? Plus my drive to work and back home. Then I also work on guitars. I've got 2 guitars in the basement that need to be worked on. And I still have one more Jim Jr. video to do for the Searching for Tone thing before that's all done. 2 streams a night. It just comes down, it's too much for me to do. It took 4 weeks to get Time Surfing Aliens guitar to him because I had to do a setup on it and I had so much other work. I had the gym here, I had one of Jupe's guitars still here, had some other stuff. It's just me.
Devastator said a GP 200 for May.
Cheap. Ooh, that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. So maybe not do a guitar on the next one. Do an effects unit. Yeah, I think we could do that. Maybe why not? Why not do a small multi effects processor versus a guitar? I kind of like that idea. That would be cool. All right, guys. Well, if you want to open it up, it doesn't have to be a guitar. It doesn't bother me. We could do a GP 200 or a GP 50. Maybe instead of doing the 200, we'll build like a little mini amp. See what we can do that way. I think GP 200 is 350. So any suggestions at 350 and under, or somewhere in that ballpark, 350, 400, like a multi-effects pedal and a PA speaker? That's going to be hard to ship, but you get the concept. Anything like that that we could do, that we could piece together, that would be a cool giveaway, I'm all about it. All right, guys, thanks so much, and I'll see you all this coming Thursday. Thanks so much, guys.